welcome to today's episode of What to Say and How to Say It, the podcast to help you fix your marriage. I'm Shai Lewis. I'm here with Nina Rosner. Our mission is to help you, Christian married man or woman, navigate conflict and build connection so you can have a thriving marriage. All right, so today our topic is what to say to keep your identity solid in Christ. All right, so identity is a big topic for us. We encounter it throughout our coaching, our courses. It's kind of woven, I would say, throughout this work that we do. And so what we'd like to talk about today is what happens when maybe you have an identity crisis. Maybe you've realized because there's a crisis in your life that maybe your identity was misplaced. How maybe idolatry can even be in there somewhere, and what to do about it. So welcome, Nina. I hope you like this topic today. It's a big one.
It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I think it's the reason Greater Impact exists, is to reach people in this space. And I don't think everybody uses the word identity. Like, we don't even know. We just want to know what to do, what to say, and how to say it, right? Well, that's all an outpouring of our identity. When we know who we are, that then happens naturally, what to say and how to say it.
Right, absolutely. And it's a word that we use a lot, I would say, in Christendom. And so maybe it's not as impactful as it should be because we use it so much. So I think the reason is because where we get it from is essential, you know, in this whole walk that we have. And so what we want to do is talk about that today. If you don't do this well, you can miss out on a huge opportunity for growth in your relationship with Christ and really finding out who you truly are in Him. Okay, so I looked up the definition of identity in Christ, and I just want to read it really quick. This is from the Oxford Dictionary. It says the person who has accepted Christ as their Lord and Savior means they will not put anyone or anything above Him. They have died to self. They understand that their lives are to magnify and glorify the Lord. They are of a royal priesthood, apart from the bride, a part of the bride that Christ returns to. And they understand they always have victory because of who lives inside of them. They are not fearful. They use their authority. They understand their rank in the Spirit. They are content and they possess joy, even in the hard seasons, because they know earth is not their home. They understand their purpose. Isn't that beautiful?
It's a lot.
I know, right?
It's a lot, but yes, it's beautiful. And I want to be all of those things. My word.
Right. And so I was thinking about that and how much is in there and how much of that is often stolen from us very early on. If you really think about it, the places where if we don't know the Lord, we grab onto, whether it's the world or a lie we've believed or culture or something that is trying to tell us who we are. That starts from really young. And so I think this is a battle we've been fighting for a long time. Wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, very true. And the thing about it is that we don't even know what it is we're supposed to be. Like, that's at the core of this. Who am I really? Mm-hmm. Well, it's a weird thing because we're kind of like pots that carry the essence, the character, the Spirit of God. And so we're really what's inside of there. And then there's all these things about us, like our fingerprints, and then our bents, our personality, the things that make us unique and wonderful in the world. Like, I love horses. There's people that hate horses. I don't understand them and they don't understand me. Right? Like this, the same thing with dogs. Like, there's dog people and cat people. Like, what is all of that? That's the uniqueness. God loves all of it, right? Yeah. And so when we're talking about who am I really? Well, I have personality, which is these character traits that I have that are unique to me as a human on the planet. The fact that I like coffee way too much, or that I love to ride and ducks and things like that. But then when I think about, well, who am I really, like underneath that? Who am I? And there's all of this possibility, and then there's what am I creating in there that I'm going to be? And I can either, and we pick this up from the people around us through mirroring our behaviors, and we become what we do. But
Mm-hmm.
really, what we're trying to do is, and I think this is the goal of this life, is to be transformed into the likeness of Christ, to have the mind of Christ, which would then give us the identity of Christ. And so as we put on his character, as we act in Christ, as we walk in the way that he says, this is the way, walk in it. And when we go do that, then we're acting in our character, we're acting in our identity. And that's something we spend our entire existence grabbing for, trying to become. I had a conversation not too long ago, uh, like today, a few hours ago, with my daughter, and she's doing a project. One of the questions on there is about people that you've been enmeshed with, which is, oh, I'm getting my identity from this other person's behavior towards me and who they say I am, and the circumstances around this relationship and all those things. And that's happened to me. I had a boyfriend in college that um his parents were alcoholics, and so he had all of those traits. And it was, when you're with somebody that's like that, it's really easy to get sucked into a codependent relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. And I literally did not know who I was. And there's other periods of time where we don't know who we are. And I think that's because in those moments, we're not saying, hey, God, um, what would you do here? who are you? How do I walk in your way? Where is it? I can't find it. Instead, we turn to people, turn to media, turn to whatever to get advice instead of going to him. And I'm not saying he can't use those things, but we got to go to the source for it, because he is our identity. That's the big point. God is our identity.
Yeah. And that shows up so much in relationships. You're right. And I know our audience is Christian married men and women. So I bet this is something very relatable. But like, I think about in marriage and how, as women, we often take on that codependent thinking. And when we become a wife, that becomes our identity. And then we become
Mm-hmm.
a mom, and then that becomes our identity. And then decades go by, and then we wake up and we're like, who am I? And
Mm-hmm.
or something tragic happens, and we lose that thing that we had
Yeah.
attached our identity to, and then we're asking that same question, well, who am I without this role that I play? So it's very
Yes.
easy to lose who we are, even in good things, right? Like
Yeah.
being a wife and a mother, when
Mm-hmm.
that's separate from who we are in Christ.
One of the things we tell people in our Strength and Dignity course is that you have to have outside hobbies and interests outside of your family, outside of your children, your mothering, your wifing. You have to have something that you're about, because if you don't, when they leave the house, which is, hey, let's just call it what it is, that's the goal, is for
Yep.
them to become independent and thrive and have families of their own. As well, they usually will have to leave to do that. I have a friend who homeschooled for 27 years. She had 5 kids. They're all spread apart. And when the last one graduated from high school, she lost her ever loving mind. And she said to me, I don't know who I am. I've done this for 27 years. And now that I don't have this to do, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what I like. I don't like, I'm supposed to have hobbies. I don't even know how to start. And it's like, what a shame, it's such a hard thing. I'm so grateful. My daughter-in-law is riding my horse right now. She takes lessons. It's every other week kind of thing. It's barely at all, but it's something.
Yeah.
And I remember being in that stage where it was barely at all. And, you felt guilty for going because you're leaving your kids. And it was great for dad, who got to be with them. It was great for grandma, who got to be with them. And yet we struggle because we think we're supposed to do it all. and we don't recognize that we're the most important person we have to take care of. And that applies to being who we are and doing the things that we are wired to do. That's really important. And you have to have balance because you're supposed to also fulfill those roles when you're in them. It's really not an easy thing to navigate.
Right. It's definitely not easy. And I want to emphasize that it is okay to have your own life. Like it is okay, because I feel like the world will tell women, especially, you have to be the perfect homeschool mom, you have to be the perfect working mom, you have to be the perfect wife, you have to be. And I just feel like there's not enough messaging about taking care of yourself and knowing who you are and having your own hobbies, and like it really really being okay, like you're not being selfish in having those things.
Well, and when we strive for that perfect, we're striving for something that doesn't exist and isn't real. It's crazy making. Yeah, there is no perfect wife. There is no perfect kids because we're all humans. So there's Jesus, which we all
Right.
aspire to be like more, but we're still trapped in this human body with these human habits and addictions and faulty thinking and influenced by the world. And even those two that God created, they walked with, like physically walked with, Adam and Eve, they screwed this up. So if they can't get it, I'm going to do my best, absolutely, but I'm not going to expect perfection. I'm not going to compare myself to some Instagram standard that is not even real.
Yeah.
Let's just dismantle that for a second.
Yeah, they only show you the highlight reel,
uh,
and not what's really going on
yeah,
behind closed doors. So
yeah.
there's
Like
that.
100% of the time, there's something dirty in my laundry room. Would I
And
take a picture of that and post it? Probably not. Like, why would I care that somebody knows that? I don't. Would I take a picture when my laundry room's perfect and clean? No, I'm not going to do that either because I don't care what other people think about that. I do videotape my ducks though because they're entertaining.
I see the ducks.
It's really goofy. Like, who's this crazy chicken lady? Like, I don't obsess. So, like, there's people that I talked to a girl a couple years ago that had a rescue. She had like 150 ducks and they were pets and she had them all throughout her house. That's crazy because those are animals that belong outside. They're farm animals. Like, ew. Not anyway.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
another level.
Another
You're not
level of
there.
something. Yeah, you
Yeah.
want to talk about enmeshment. Like, what's that about? I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, there's some identity crisis
yeah.
happening.
Although maybe crazy duck lady is awesome, right? Like maybe she's good
Yeah.
with that. I don't know. She sounded pretty stressed out when I talked to her
I
though.
cannot imagine what happens at night. Do they sleep all at the same time? I don't know.
Well, they cackle and are loud until they're not. And then I don't know because I don't sleep with mine. So I
Right.
have no
Exactly.
idea.
Exactly.
They're outside in their coop. Anyway.
Okay.
Okay,
Anyway.
sorry. Yeah.
All right. So, question, how do you know when something has become an idol? Like when there's too many ducks, for instance, or like maybe you're too enmeshed in your marriage,
Mhm.
or you're too enmeshed with your kid. Like, are there some signs that that's going on that we can look out for and maybe course correct?
Yes. And there are thoughts that we all have had. And I was talking about that this morning with one of my coaching clients, and I called her on it. I said, "You just said I have to, because if I don't, they're gonna." So that phrase, I have to because they're,
Mm,
that whole thought process of my behavior has to be XYZ because other people are going to XYZ, right? Like that whole thing. My motivation is to please people. And Acts 5:29 tells us we are to obey God and not man. And enmeshment is all about the pressure and the stress of needing to make somebody else okay.
mm.
which isn't even possible. That's not possible. Do we contribute to other people's joy through connection? Absolutely. But that's not our purpose. If we're doing that, if we're like, oh, I'm going to do this thing to make this other person happy, I mean, we can recognize that and have an awareness that that might be an outcome. But our motive should be, I'm going to do this thing because God's leading me to it, because I'm a respectful person, because I'm a kind person, or I'm a generous person, I'm a thoughtful person. It's not because I want to make them feel something. That's control and manipulation, and it's idolizing the relationship, if you will, like you were talking about. And that's our identity being mixed up in somebody else, which is super not okay. That'll drive you nuts.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast and they were talking about attachment styles and how there's the secure and then there's the avoidant and then there's like somewhere in the middle. And the goal is to have a secure
Mm-hmm.
attachment. And essentially that means when you have a healthy respect for yourself
Mm-hmm.
and for others, versus you have too much respect for others, which is kind of what you're talking about, and not enough respect for yourself. And so that's the insecure, I think, attachment. And
Mm-hmm.
so um it's interesting because sometimes that doesn't show up until there is like a separation, like your kid leaves for
Right.
college, or you know the relationship breaks down or something like that, and that
Yeah.
exposes how enmeshed you
Mm-hmm.
with that person.
Yeah, that's real. And I've talked to moms that are upside down because their daughter doesn't want them coming to their college campus and or setting up their dorm room. They want to do it themselves. And the
Mm.
mom is just 15 shades of super upset and hurt that her daughter won't let her do this. It's like, no, that's normal. Like she
Mm.
is stepping out of your home. She's going to create her own space. It would be wise on your part to not only let her do that, but support her in it. Drive her around while she shops and picks out what she wants. And maybe you do or don't pay for it, but you're not going to pick what color towels she has. Like that's super unhealthy. Whoa. But you'd be surprised at how often people think that's how it should be. And then they're hurt and then their motives are good. They're like, well, we want the best for her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, your definition of the best keeps her from deciding what she likes and figuring herself out. Like she's not a mini you. Cut the apron strings, let her go, let her figure it out. Whew, how dangerous is it? We create opportunity for rebellion when we get that controlling.
Yeah. And it's not good for her, because then how will she ever make a decision for herself or know
Mm-hmm.
when her boundaries are being violated, because
Right.
everything's been done for her
Mm-hmm.
her whole life. So
Yeah.
it doesn't help anybody.
No, it does not. And one of my sons dated a girl who I guess he was talking to her too much or something. And the mom calls me and they were 17, 16 years old. And this mom calls me and she's like, your son is talking to my daughter too much. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, you need to tell him to stop calling her. And they're talking too much. And I said, I think your daughter is going to be going to college next year and she needs a stronger no. So I think this is hers to handle. And she should be the one to tell him, hey, I'm not talking to you. And then she needs to not answer the phone
Yeah.
and hang up on him if he's being rude. Like, and she got furious with me. I can't believe you're not going to step into this. I'm like, this is not mine to step into. They're on their own next year. Like they need to figure this out now.
Yeah. Definitely. And that brings me to, okay, when you're that person, that girl, that boy going to college, but then you not far after, not long after, become a wife or a husband, and you need that strong no. So, what are some ways when we're in that dynamic where we know who we are? How can we know who we are in a situation where maybe there's an unhealthy dynamic happening and we need a strong no. But maybe we've been coddled and protected and things have been done for us forever. It could be kind of hard to transition
Yeah.
from that to, wait a minute, I have my own brain, I have my own
Hmm.
desires and agency.
Yeah. And yeah, so oh goodness, the Holy Spirit's really awesome at giving us this sense that something's not right here. And so we'll say yes to a thing we really don't want to do, and we won't feel settled about it.
That's
You
good.
know, we will do a thing we really don't want to do, and we'll be like, I wish I hadn't done that. Why did I do that? And then we'll have the argument with ourselves of, well, I'm being selfish if I want to do what I want to do. And maybe you are, maybe we are, but maybe we're not. And so we have to take a step back, and if we're not making God the commander in chief of our day,
Mm-hmm.
in the smalls, hey, Lord, am I supposed to go to this picnic this weekend with my friend? She really wants me to go. And he says, no, don't go. I have something else for you. And she wants to know why. You just, you have to be able to say, well, I prayed about it and I'm thinking I'm not supposed to go do this. Well, why? I don't understand why you don't want to go. Yeah, me neither. Like, tell the truth. And it's okay to not be perfect at it. But everybody is so consumed with, I have to have an answer for everyone. And it has to be the right answer. And people have to like me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
where is it in the Bible that people have to like you? You have to be winsome in your approach. But what's true is if we're honest with people and if we're following God, like Abigail's husband probably didn't like her too much when she told him, hey, I know you wanted to cut David off, um, but he was going to murder all of us. So I went ahead and sent food and took care of this. You know, I'm thinking he didn't like her too much around then, but he sure respected her as a result of that. And God solved that problem. But we have to know who it is we serve. And we're supposed to serve God and not man. Now, what's cool is we end up serving man out of serving God, but we have to get the order right
Yeah.
because we could be doing it could look like the rightest thing on the planet, but unless God's in charge of it, it we have to run it by him first. And then we know who we're serving. Then we know that our yes is based in what the Lord wants us to do. And then that we're walking in obedience to him. Otherwise, we're just letting man tell us what to do.
Yeah.
And it's a mess.
Yeah. And I think this gets us into the idolatry piece where we're placing man above
Yeah.
God, or relationship above God, because I think there is a shift that happens within us when we are able to be okay with people not liking us
Mhm.
or people being angry with us or the outcome not going the way we want, but being okay with that
Mhm.
and not being tipped over, not losing hope, like being able to really truly say, well, okay, if that's the outcome, then as long as me and God are okay and God is pleased with me, then I have peace and I can go on with
Mhm.
life. And I think that is easier said than done.
Yeah.
But once you get there, you're showing up completely different in
Yeah.
your relationships.
And you have to start. And I think that's the hardest part. And then what happens is we do it badly. And so we think we're doing it wrong because we don't
Yeah.
have the skills and and then we don't have the compassion. It's what's typical. And you see this with women that find their voice for the first time, that they get permission to say no to something because they're exhausted and they just need to go to bed and they do it badly and they're mean or rude or whatever. And then they're dealing with the outcome of that and they think, well, this doesn't work. And that's not true. What's true
Yeah.
is you can be a respectful person and have boundaries. And you need to, like, if you are exhausted and sick, you need to say, hey, I'm exhausted and sick. I'm going to go to bed. I'd love to stay up with you. And I'm sorry to miss out on the movie, man. I'd love to do this with you, but I just can't. I'm going to go to bed. And then somebody can be mad at you, but you're okay with that because the Lord has said you need to rest, and you've listened to that and you've acted on that. And then how many times do we not? Because, well, I could be a martyr. It's like so few people that get called into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I think when you really get good at this, because, like you said, there's no perfection, no perfect person here on earth, but I think there's a place where you get to do this really well, where you can say no and the person still feels loved and respected.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
that's like another level, right? That's
Well, that's walking in our identity because God cares about that person.
yeah.
And so we can change our behavior for, okay, I'm going to say no. All right. No, I'm not going to do this. And you can't make me, we're just a jerk about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather see somebody do that because it's a step that direction. And
Mm-hmm.
then God is going to go, I love you, man. And I don't talk to you like that, oh, I'm going to, you know what, sweetheart, I could have said no a lot more gently last night. You didn't deserve that. So the next time there's a no, it's, I value this other person because of my character. I'm a respectful person like this. And I'm not perfect at this, by the way. I just want to mention that, especially when I'm sick or uncaffeinated like that. Ugh, don't talk to me. It's not good. I'm not great then. But the point is that when we're valuing the other person, we value ourselves and them at the same time. And that's when we're walking in the character. And so that comes across.
Yeah.
We're not putting ourselves, it's like in the initial stages, we're jockeying for who's on the throne, me
Yes.
or them. Well, you've been there, so I'm knocking you off, man. And I'm going to sit up there now. No, that's still wrong. How about that's only God's seat and
Yeah.
he loves you both. So how can you treat each other in a way that represents him well? That's what that looks like. And it's no work whatsoever. We don't, unless we practice gratitude, we don't even see that when we do it well. When we walk in the spirit, we're oblivious to it. So we have to sit and think, oh, that that was easy. And it that was okay. Wow, okay. So
Nobody died.
we died, but we don't even notice it because our brains are wired to see the and pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, if you're receiving the no, there's also grace in that and security in that too, if you've done your work, because the no isn't about you. You don't take it personally. It's
Uh,
just that person can't give you whatever it is that
yeah.
you're asking for. And it's okay. Nobody died.
I love people that tell me no because when when somebody will tell me no or give me hard feedback, I trust them more.
Mm,
I believe what they say about me because it's not all roses and unicorns and things. Like they're honest. Our relationship is transparent. So when somebody says to me, "Hey, I don't like it that you XYZ," then I'm like, "Oh, thank
yeah.
you so much for telling me that. Tell me more." Like I want that from them and I want to be a safe place for that because God values them, he values me, and he values us having a relationship that's healthy. And that's how you figure that stuff out.
Amen. All right. Well, I think this about wraps it up. There's a lot we talked about in terms of identity. Identity in Christ is huge. You're always working on it from the time you get here till the time you go to be with the Lord, Lord willing. And, you're going to be challenged, whether it's in a relationship or a job or, it's just something fun you like to do. We can make an idol out of anything. So, if this has happened to you, if you've noticed, you're not showing up the way God has called you to, one way to tell is if you care more about that person and their reaction than what God says. Your motivation should be to please God over man. And, we can't really control what people do or how they react to what God is saying. And so that's one thing. If you are struggling and you don't know how to say no, know that this is a work in progress. You can strive to be winsome, but without pleasing people. And so it's always good to say no, even if it's not perfect, like Nina says, as long as you're establishing boundaries. But over time, you'll get to a place where you can do it in love and it'll be received in love. And that's where we all want to be. And so we hope this information was helpful for you today. We invite you to check out our website, greaterimpactlives.org, for more information. We have a free PDF called Find Your Voice, 5 steps we changed the title, sorry, so I'm getting tongue tied, but it's Find Your Voice, 5 steps to stop walking on eggshells. We also have an e-course. We have some coaching products for you to check out and more episodes on this channel. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.